So, what we're going to do here is we're going to look at Chinese style art and compare it to Western style art. This first one we're looking at is a picture of Confucius. As you can tell, Chinese style art is done on a totally different form of paper. It's not a canvas like we'd normally expect. And you can tell here that it's not really detail oriented, and there's a huge amount of white space, which I'll elaborate on later, especially when in comparison to its Western style counterpart. So as you can see here, it's really detail oriented, a lot of colors, and a lot of imagery is used here. So it's very different than kind of a simplified version in the Chinese style, but not any less elegant. So now here we're going to see a picture of a tree. So as you can tell, it's actually a zoomed in version of a branch. Again, you can see a lot of lines, a little color, but a lot of white space. And the white space is what plays such an important role in Chinese art. So as you can compare it to a Western style painting, here is no white space, and you look at the whole tree as a whole and you see a lot of different colors, and lines aren't necessarily as important as the hard lines in Chinese art. So now here we got another really good example of how the lines play such an important role with the white space. So the lines and the white space, it's that balance there that creates such an interesting dynamic in Chinese art. Moving on to now the Western counterpart is where you see it's about the colors and kind of the interesting facts in the shapes is what makes it so interesting. The lines necessarily aren't as important. And again, no white space. That's the big one. And in here, this one, you see that there's a lot less white space, but there's still white space, still plays a very important role. You can also tell this one's a little bit more detail-oriented in comparison to some of the other ones, but it still holds nothing as far as the details into a Western style. So you can see here that again it's a lot more detailed, a lot more color, but it doesn't play on any white space or any open space, which is really an major interesting difference in Chinese style art compared to the Western style standard art. And now here's where we kind of deviate from the standard. You can see here that this is kind of a standard Chinese painting, where it's got the lines and the colors aren't really there, but the lines are there, but the colors aren't. So it's a lot of white space. And then you can see the major difference here with the Western style. This is a Picasso. So Eastern and Western style arts aren't separated from each other completely. You can see here Picasso really kind of uses that Chinese concept of the straight, hard lines and lots of white space. Whether he knew he was doing that or not, I don't know. But you can see that they're not completely separate. Now we're going to move on to a different style of art completely. It's called calligraphy. Chinese calligraphy is a major part of the culture. You don't see English-style calligraphy at all because the language isn't as beautiful to write or as complex as the Chinese language, so you don't see it. But this is something you would never see in an English or American gallery. You never see someone's signature or someone writing something on a piece of art. So it's really different, and it's a major part of the Chinese culture.